Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. And if you're a true General Hospital fan, be sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Now let's get started with today's video. The General Hospital GH update for Monday, July 13th reveals that the ABC soap is approaching a significant milestone. Jason Morgan, Steve Burton, will also experience an emotional roller coaster, while Jack Brennan, Chris McKenna, warns Carly Spencer, Laura Wright, about the path she's taking. Since Monday is the show's 16,000th episode, it will be a special one with some surprises. Jason will receive some surprising news while in captivity and will eventually board a trip back to Port Charles. On that flight, Jason will appear roughed up by his severe prison experience and deep in meditation as he analyzes his future. Brennan will surprise Carly with a warning. Brennan may play up Valentine Cassidy's James Patrick Stewart, former crush on Anna Devane, Finola Hughes, and declare Carly will never get his entire attention. Meanwhile, Valentine will visit Anna at her apartment and give Jocelyn Jack's Eden McCoy message, which is essentially a plot to bring the exes closer together. Jocelyn believes Valentine's preoccupation with Anna will eventually lead to a breakup from Carly. Anna had already learned about her gaslighting from Liesl Albrecht, Kathleen Gotti, but Valentine will now back her up. Ross Cullum, Andrew Hawkes, and Jen Sidwell, Carlo Rhoda, were responsible for Anna's hostage nightmare, therefore Valentine will be remorseful for what she went through. Anna will eventually appear agitated as she wonders how Valentine knows something in particular. During this chat, Anna may battle with certain Peter August, Wes Ramsey, visions, and attempt to keep Valentine in the dark. On Monday's broadcast, Anna will be cautioned about something, and we'll discover if it's from Valentine or more of Peter's terrible advice. Laura Collins, Jeannie Francis, on General Hospital will pitch someone to fill the 16th hospital board seat, which sounds like another homage to the 16,000th episode. Laura appears to be pushing Willow Kane, Caitlin McMullen, to slide in that slot, which disgusts Tracy Quartermaine, Jane Elliott. Tracy will question Laura's sanity, thus they will undoubtedly disagree on her choice. Elizabeth Baldwin, Rebecca Herbst, on the other hand, will presumably think Willow is the perfect match. Willow will continue to play an important role in Brooke Lynn Quartermaine's, Amanda Setton, conflict with Harrison Chase, Josh Swickard. Brooklyn admitted to framing Willow and will soon inquire if she pushed Chase in the direction of his former flame. Regardless, Chase will have to make a decision about his marriage and the family he is creating with Brooklyn. In the end, it appears Chase will decide it is time to prioritize Brooklyn and Phoebe, Luna, and Lucia Creighton, despite his disdain of how BLQ handled everything. Brooklyn, on the other hand, hasn't told Chase the full story because he still doesn't realize she was the one who rushed away from the crash site that night. Brooklyn's secret may possibly haunt her in the future. Lucas Jones, Van Hansis, will realize Britt Westbourne, Kelly Thibault, has regained her freedom. Britt will think about her future now that she has been cleared of Huntington's disease. Britt will also accuse someone on Monday's episode, which could lead to a confrontation with a new character. Britt's relationship with Dean Geyer, who plays Dr. Tristan Roberts, will start out difficult. General Hospital spoilers suggest the 16,000th episode will be packed with action, so stay tuned. On this historic Monday, the sky over Port Charles was heavy with anticipation. General Hospital's 16,000th episode played out like a carefully crafted symphony of disclosures, reunions, and simmering tensions, with each note piercing deeper into the hearts of its characters. At the heart of it all was Jason Morgan's long-awaited return, a homecoming that promised to rearrange alliances and reveal hidden secrets. Jason sat straight in his seat on the commercial aircraft from Jakarta, the sound of the engines doing little to muffle the mayhem in his mind. His face retained the fresh scars of his ordeal, bruises receding along his jawline, a cut above his eye that had just recently started to heal. His hair was cut shorter than anyone in Port Charles could remember, a vivid reminder of the WSB Black site where he'd been kept after being blamed for a shooting he didn't commit. The man who had once lived by a code of unflinching commitment had emerged transformed, his imprisonment forcing him to confront the consequences of his decisions, particularly on his son Danny. He glanced out the window at the clouds below, recalling the events that had led him here. Jocelyn's dangerous talks had secured his freedom, portraying the late Ross Cullum as a hero for tying up loose ends with the WSB. Jason owed her his freedom, yet he was torn between gratitude and uneasiness. Port Charles had moved ahead without him, with Sonny's empire moving, Carly embroiled in new issues, and old foes like Valentine Cassadine closing in. Jason's hands clutched the armrest. He was no longer the same enforcer. This return signaled the beginning of something new, a life in which he valued family over the streets. But first, he needed to confront the folks he'd left behind. Meanwhile, in the center of Port Charles, Carly Spencer went through Kelly's diner with her usual quick efficiency, but her thoughts were elsewhere. The preceding few months had pushed Elizabeth to her limits, sheltering Jocelyn from the WSB, navigating her conflicting feelings for Valentine, and fending off Sonny's continuous intervention. She wiped down the bar, her mind wandering back to the fugitive she had hidden away and the vengeance she still desired against Jack Brennan for enlisting her daughter into the hazardous world of espionage. The door chimed, and Jack Brennan entered, his presence as dominating as ever. Brennan approached Carly with a steady step, dressed in a sharp suit that contrasted with his WSB function. Their background was fraught with suspicion. Brennan had dragged Jocelyn into operations much beyond Carly's tolerance. Today, however, he expressed prudence rather than conflict. "Carly," he replied gently, looking around to guarantee privacy. "We need to talk. Off the record." She crossed her arms, her eyes sharpening. "If this is about Joss again, save it. She's made her choices, and I'm done letting you, or anyone else, pull her strings." Brennan leaned in, his voice low and intense. "This isn't just about Jocelyn. Jason's on his way back. His flight lands soon, but his return isn't clean. There are loose ends from Jakarta. Details that could drag you, Sonny, and half the town back into the fire. Stay out of it. Don't go digging, and keep your distance from Valentine if you know what's good for you. Some warnings come with teeth." Carly was shaken, the news hitting like a physical punch. Jason is free and returning on this of all days. The 16,000th episode of their life in Port Charles felt poetic, a watershed moment among infinite drama. But Brennan's warning instilled terror behind her defiance. She'd spent months establishing precarious stability. Jason's entrance might shatter it, especially since Sonny is already looking into her link to Valentine. "You don't get to dictate my life, Brennan," she replied, her voice wavering slightly. "If Jason is home, we'll handle it together, without your interference." Brennan maintained her gaze for a while longer before nodding and turning to go. "Just remember, I warned you." The door chimed again as he left, leaving Carly staring into the distance, her mind racing with possibilities. Jason is home. What does this mean for Danny? For Sonny? For the secrets she'd been keeping? Tensions flared up across town at the Quartermaine mansion. Laura Collins had taken a decision that shocked Tracy Quartermaine, one based on family legacies and political maneuvering that threatened to sever already fragile ties. Tracy paced the living room, her tone stern as she faced Laura. "You've gone too far this time. Bringing that element back into our world. It's reckless." Laura stayed steady, her mayoral instincts colliding with personal commitments, but the argument emphasized the episode's theme. Decisions have far-reaching effects. Anna Devane was not far away, wrestling with her own issues. Fresh from her adventure and adjusting to life in Port Charles, she received a cryptic warning that heightened her instincts. Whispers of manipulation and hidden realities surrounded her, directing her toward Britt Westbourne. Britt, ever the wild card, wasted no time leveling her own charges, inciting new friction in the aftermath of her return and personal revelations. The air was charged with suspicion, Anna doubting alliances, Britt pointing fingers, all while the milestone celebration played in the background. Jason's jet landed amid a flurry of emotions. He walked through the airport with purpose, his duffel bag draped over one shoulder, ignoring the looks at his untidy look. Port Charles had not altered. The familiar skyline greeted him like an old rival. He remembered Danny and the pledge he'd made to himself in captivity. No more sacrificing everything for the mafia life. Naturally, Sonny would push back. Their tie was strong, formed in blood and loyalty, but Jason's resolve felt unwavering now. He hails a cab directly to the heart of town, his first destination unspoken but unavoidable. The news of his presence spread rapidly. Calls were exchanged between friends and family. Michael Corinthos, juggling his own duties, felt a rush of relief, mixed with concern. Elizabeth Weber remained firm on related issues, her quiet strength unwavering in the face of adversity. Even Valentine Cassadine became suspicious when Carly's faithful buddy returned, complicating his ambitions with her. Jason stood on the docks, where so many key moments had occurred, and took in the salty air. Memories of shootouts, alliances, and defeats came flooding back. However, this time he carried a new weight. His captivity had removed all illusions. He desired tranquility for his children, the opportunity to rebuild without the constant threat of harm. However, danger had a way of finding Port Charles people, particularly on a day like this. Carly, unable to remain still following Brennan's visit, made her way to the arrival points, her heart racing. Will Jason seek her out first? Their bond had always been deep, transcending passion into something impenetrable. She observed him from a distance as he came into view, and time seemed to slow. The bruises, the harsh expression, it all hit her at once. "Jason," she said quietly, rushing forward. Their embrace was forceful and silent at first. Carly's eyes welled up with tears as she pulled back to look at him. "You're really here. On today of all days. The 16,000th episode, it feels like fate." Jason mustered a little, weary smile. "Fate or not, I'm back. But things are different now, Carly. I can't go back to the way it was." She nodded, comprehending more than he said. Brennan's warning lingered in her mind, but she ignored it for the moment. "We'll figure it out. Sonny, Danny, everyone, they've missed you. But there are new players, new threats." As they walked together, Jason told her about his journey, the black site, the negotiations, the alteration in his soul. Carly shared pieces of Port Charles' life, including Jocelyn's involvement with the WSB, her own complicated dance with Valentine, and Sonny's protectiveness growing possessive. The discussion flowed effortlessly, yet there were undercurrents of unresolved anguish. Back at the hospital, Anna was determined to get answers from Britt, fueled by the warnings she had received. Britt dodged with customary fire, accusing others of concealing details regarding recent maneuvers involving Cullum and others. The conversation focused on deeper mysteries, such as some people experiencing hallucinations, new medical arrivals like Dr. Tristan Roberts making their debut, and altered family dynamics. Tracy's fury over Laura's decision spread throughout the Quartermain enterprise and beyond. Brooke Lynn and Chase worked through their own understandings, while younger characters like Trina, Jocelyn, and Kai encountered unsettling revelations and cleared the air. Nina Reeves found herself opening up to Brennan in surprising ways, and their plotting added layers of intrigue. As the episode reached its climax, Jason's return sent shockwaves through every corner. Sonny Corinthos learnt of his old friend's visit and prepared for a question-filled reunion. Will Jason's new perspective undermine their brotherhood? Danny's conflicting emotions, joy at his father's return, balanced by remorse over revelations to Brennan, added poignant depth. Carly stood at the crossroads, Brennan's admonitions still fresh. She'd drawn lines before, but Jason's presence encouraged her. Revenge on the WSB, family protection, and a tentative future with Valentine. All of these things were delicately balanced. "No more running," she warned Jason as they parted ways briefly. "We face it head-on." The day concluded with Port Charles people reflecting on 16,000 stories of love, sorrow, betrayal, and resilience. Jason's travel home represented more than just a physical journey. It also served as a watershed moment. He was no longer just the enforcer. He was a father seeking redemption, a buddy providing quiet strength, and a guy eager to rewrite his life. But shadows lingered. Anna's search of the truth, Britt's accusations, Laura and Tracy's confrontation, and Carly's guarded heart all hinted at more upheaval in the coming days. Tuesday would see Jason's explanations, more confrontations, and possibly the first cracks in new alliances. For now, in this historic hour, The shockers of the 16,000th episode left everyone breathless, their hearts racing with anticipation of what might come next. The town remained lively well into the evening. At the Metro Court, murmurs erupted into open speculation. Would Jason return to Sunny's world or establish an own path? How would his reappearance affect Carly's growing affection and vendetta against Brennan? Families gathered, some celebrating, others holding stressful strategy discussions. Elizabeth found a calm moment with friends, maintaining personal boundaries amidst the chaos. Jordan's efforts were unsuccessful in certain probes, adding frustration to the mix. Curtis expressed thanks for little mercies, but Jocelyn considered disclosing secrets that could further alter dynamics. Jason, alone in a familiar safe place, unpacked his few items. The altered man glanced at Danny's portrait, silently pledging to be present. No more disappearing acts. Port Charles had withstood 16,000 instances of turbulence. It would weather this as well. However, with Brennan's warning hanging over Carly and old flames rekindling, the path ahead was everything but smooth. Finally, the milestone was about long-lasting connections, not just statistics. Jason's homecoming, the flight that returned him injured but resolute, Brennan's sharp warning to Carly, and the web of shockers that bound them all together provided a vivid portrayal of a town that is constantly in upheaval. As night fell, the stage was set for fresh revelations, demonstrating that in Port Charles, the drama never actually ended. It only developed. Port Charles awoke to a day unlike any other, as emotions, secrets, and unexpected turns collided in a succession of surprising occurrences that left everyone wondering what would happen next. The mood across the city was filled with a weird sense of suspense, as if everyone knew that big things were about to happen. Relationships were tested, old wounds revived, and numerous lives reached watershed moments. At the middle of the commotion, Jason Morgan's long-awaited return home became one of the most talked-about subjects. News of his anticipated arrival traveled fast among those closest to him, eliciting a mix of optimism, worry, and unresolved emotions. Jason has always been a man who alters the balance of power in Port Charles. His reappearance, whether as guardian, confidant, or enforcer, will unavoidably bring old relationships and rivalries back into play. Jason's return could not have come at a worse time for Carly Spencer's life. She has been carrying heavy emotional burdens and making difficult decisions, leaving her exposed. Although Carly usually exudes power and confidence, recent events have rattled her. The prospect of Jason returning to her life is comforting, but it also raises uncomfortable questions about what she genuinely wants and who she can trust. Meanwhile, Jack Brennan became increasingly concerned for Carly's safety and emotional well-being. Brennan has built a complicated relationship with her, and his senses tell him that danger is closer than anybody realizes. Determined to protect her, he gave a stern warning, which instantly raised tensions. Brennan made it apparent that Carly should be cautious. There were too many hidden objectives, too many people holding secrets, and too many unpredictable forces operating behind the scenes. His admonition wasn't given lightly. He's sincerely concerned that Carly might be caught in circumstances beyond her control. The intensity of his voice indicated that he knew more than he was willing to admit. Carly listened closely, but she struggled with the concept of living in terror. She has endured years of treachery, threats, and personal devastation. Being reminded again that she is in danger simply contributed to her irritation. Nonetheless, Brennan's worries seemed genuine, and his comment stuck in her mind long after their talk had finished. Elsewhere, other Port Charles locals found themselves pondering on the great history they share. The milestone events occurring around them provided as reminders of the many loves, heartbreaks, successes, and tragedies that had molded the town over the years. Familiar faces recalled friendships that had survived insurmountable circumstances and foes that had somehow become allies. Families met to share memories and acknowledge how interwoven their lives had become. Longtime inhabitants could not overlook the significance of the event. Every area of Port Charles seems to have echoes of the past. The city itself felt like a living memory, with decades of secrets hidden within its streets. At the same time, additional surprises emerged. For numerous characters, hidden information posed a serious threat. Some people learned that the decisions they made years ago were now coming back to haunt them. Others recognized that the future they had envisioned would no longer be feasible. Tensions continued to rise in some relationships. Trust was a precarious commodity at Port Charles. Many characters wondered if they could fully rely on those standing beside them. Past betrayals have taught everyone harsh lessons, and forgiveness is seldom easy. Jason's imminent arrival only fueled these feelings. For some, he symbolized stability and fidelity. For others, he symbolized unfinished business and terrible emotions. People in Port Charles began ready for whatever consequences his return would bring. As word circulated, curiosity grew about Jason's intentions. Will he return just to reconcile with loved ones, or have circumstances forced him back into perilous territory? Those closest to Jason knew that he rarely acted without a reason. If he was returning home, there was probably a good reason for it. Carly was unable to quit thinking about him. Their friendship has withstood numerous challenges throughout the years, making it one of the most powerful partnerships in Port Charles history. Even during times of separation, they have always found a way back into each other's life. But this reunion could be different. Brennan's admonition was still fresh in Carly's mind. If threats were truly accumulating around her, Jason's entrance could either give protection or put him in additional danger. The thought disturbed her greatly. She is well aware that the individuals she cares about are frequently targeted. Meanwhile, some inhabitants were struggling with personal issues of their own. Some relationships appeared to be on the verge of blossoming, while others teetered on the brink of destruction. Secrets kept buried for months threatened to emerge at the worst conceivable time. Several others began rethinking their recent decisions. Regret became a recurring subject as characters explored different courses they could have pursued. In Port Charles, decisions rarely influence just one individual. Every action has far-reaching ramifications that affect countless people's lives.